Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out a game called Morphopolis by developer Micro Macro Games. Now this is a very beautiful, hand-illustrated, adventure/hidden object, possibly kind of a puzzle-slanted game. It's kind of a hard one to really pigeonhole into any particular genre conventions, but I kind of like games like that. And, you know, if you've been following the channel for a while, you might know that I have a particularly fond spot for games that are just absolutely beautiful. And I think first and foremost, that is something that is pretty hard to deny if you look at this title screen with its cacophony of colors and just basically a wash of all different things going in every direction. It reminds me a lot of the time when I went to the botanical gardens, actually. I had a similar experience just in being awestruck by the amount of lush vibrancy that's in front of me, and this is the case with this title screen. So, I mean, the game does not let me down in any respect with that same sense of visual wonder, so I think we should just jump right into things. It's not going to be a particularly long episode because I don't want to put myself into the position of getting stuck. As you may have seen in past episodes, I'm not the best at puzzle games, but hopefully we should be able to handle at least a few of the beginning moments here, and plus I did actually play through the first area just to make sure that that wouldn't happen to me. So here we are in the first level, and I believe this is the first of 5, and each one is its own little self-contained sort of ecosystem of things to do and play with and see and experience. So we've got, in this case, our main character here, who happens to be this caterpillar or pupae that we need to lead up and to the left on this vine before it'll trigger the first sequence of events to happen. Now, as I started this out, I was sort of awestruck looking around, and I think just experiencing the art and all of the different things that are going on here. I mean, we've got all these lush little details all animating and moving around in their own sense. We've got these particles in the air, we've got depth of field effects in the background, all sorts of different, it looks like things you can interact with. I mean, some of which you can, but you have to be in the right position for that to happen. So we've gotten our character to the edge of this vine here, and you'll notice now we've got this pop-out menu, and a new friend appears. Looks like some sort of a bee who's going to pollinate the ends of these flowers, and we'll want to collect these little chunks that look a little bit like a puff of popcorn or something. As you can see, that'll add up and slowly lower the counter over there. And like I said, this game is, you know, like some sort of a hybrid between like an adventure, hidden object, and puzzle game. So all those things considered, I think this is sort of the moment where the main emphasis really shines, which is to just look around and experience the environment and match up these pictures. As you can see, we're supposed to be grabbing these seeds that are sticking off the edge here, and thankfully not too difficult. This is you know, largely just getting started. There's not going to be too many challenges here, but as we get further into the game, I'm sure the progression will dictate that things get a little trickier. There is also, I believe, a hint system here. As you can see, we've got a question mark up in the corner. Let's click on this in the side here, and that looks like it is sort of subservient to this bee character. Alright, so we'll click on this little menu item here, and we'll see if that does anything. There's one complaint that I have, if anything, is just that I feel like some moments tend to be a little bit on the unintuitive side. I mean, yeah, it makes sense that you clearly want me to click over here, but then I'm not really sure what happens next. I sort of clicked and dragged the seed over to the bee, and I guess that's what I was supposed to do. So there's sort of this implied sense that maybe some things are linked that aren't necessarily given visual feedback to the player, and that's one thing that I think maybe could be a little bit improved upon. Now this takes us to a whole new environment here. We happen to be inside the flower that we were just looking at a moment ago, and the puzzle here, you know, unfortunately got to spoil a little bit of it just to make this all kind of come together, but the point of this one is that we're supposed to arrange these seeds in a way that actually matches properly, so we can actually click and drag each one of these elements so they find their proper little housing. You'll see these sort of pyramidal-shaped ones have their own sort of like a wedge-shaped space that they belong in. The diamond-shaped ones have a diamond-shaped space. You can kind of get the idea from that. So we'll just go around little by little, clicking and dragging. You can see there are actually little lines that sort of link your eye from one point to the next, sort of giving you the idea that maybe you can drag these elements from one to the other. It took me a moment, so I started by just clicking on things. It didn't, for some reason, come across as completely obvious to me that I was just supposed to be, you know, dragging everything, so I was probably making things more complicated than they actually were. But as such, it's not the most difficult puzzle once you understand what you're really after. Thankfully, this is not quite as difficult as like a sliding puzzle or something, since you can move everything in variable spaces. Just takes a few moments to get used to what you're doing, and it's quite pretty as well. Everything has this sort of glowing quality to it. And when you add the beautiful soundtrack as well, everything really comes together very nicely. And still sort of looking around here, making sure, did I get... Oh, I'm still missing this one. Let's swap those two. Might be getting close to solving this already, and probably just missing a couple at this point. So in a way, it's sort of a different extension of a hidden object game, just by virtue of, like, the objects are not hidden, they're just needed to be manipulated in a way that's slightly hidden. So maybe object obfuscation in this case is more correct, or something like that. But in general, it's just a really great game to just get lost in the ambience of. It's really sort of hypnotic at times. It's beautiful to look at. It's just great to be in the middle of. And it's really nice that we can sort of appreciate these little micro moments in nature, and I think that sort of speaks well to the developer's name being Micro Macro. So you'll see we've got now some more of these puffs that we need to add to our collection, and that should advance us through to the next moment. And then, you know, not really hidden per se, just sort of right there. So then we'll mouse over this area, and then when we click that, we can actually, I guess, drag this to the caterpillar. Is that what we want to do? Again, still a little bit strange how this interaction seems to work with the menu. I'm not entirely clear on it. There we go. So I guess I pull it out, and then I click on the character that I want to interact with, and it seems to come together that way. Alright, so now that our pupa is down here, we've got these little, looks like maybe honeydew or some sort of like sap or water droplets, I'm not sure, but we're going to collect all of those. They're not particularly well hidden either in this case, but in the second level, things do definitely get a little bit more visually complex. And I think at night it ramps up pretty nicely, so that is going to be all for that. Now when this one pops out, we will do the same again. Oh, there's a little chime as well, you may have noticed, and you'll see now a cocoon seems to be covering over our character. So I suppose there is sort of a narrative progression, although it is, you know, somewhat abstract as we move from one scene to the next. And really, I think, if anything, even if you don't catch on to any of that stuff, just being lost in this environment, being able to take in all the visuals is really where some of the most strong moments, I think, in this lie. So this will bring us back to the title screen, where we can then select our second world, and I won't spoil too much more of the game here, because, like I said, there's not a ton to it, but I'm also not sure how substantive the later levels get to be. So now we've got a much more visually complex scene going on, and we've got what looks to be, we need to collect some legs or some insects or something like that, so we'll click around a little bit. And this is where a little bit of the trial and error might come into play, and, you know, that's just sort of a factor in these sort of games. We'll just see if we can do a little bit of experimenting, see if anything triggers when I happen to click near it, because there are quite a few of these different insects. Alright, clicking on this one down here has triggered this new objective, which seems to be collecting these guys, which just happen to be scattered all throughout the environment. Some of them are better hidden than others, I have to say. Although this one doesn't seem to trigger anything, although he looks like he might fit into this picture right here. Evidently not the case. So looking around, we've got that one hidden there. There's one behind that leaf. And you don't even know, like, what are going to be the objects that are going to come into play later on as you continue to click around and look at things. Many of them might actually be triggered in a later objective. Sort of just scanning around. I mean, the depth of field and everything goes a long way to make this seem a little bit more visually complex as well, and it adds a nice elegance to it, and on top of that, the particles, and just the sense of texture that pervades as well. You know, you've got these little moments that look like they're almost mildewed in certain spaces. We've got these sort of crustier, crunchier looking textures, and then we've got vines and wood and all these things intersecting sort of to highlight some of the beauty of nature, and there's just this great refined color palette as well. So continuing to click around, I'm sure you can hear my mouse going like crazy as I look for whatever else it might be that I'm missing. I'm not really sure what I need to trigger now to move on in the next objective, but these grasshopper leg things don't seem to be doing a whole lot. Alright, so it looks like the thing that I wasn't getting was that I was actually supposed to be clicking and dragging my pupae, who's turned into more like a little sort of a cross of a grub and a grasshopper at this point. And this is where we're going to be able to find some more of the things that we're going to need. So this is more the adventure element, so as you can see, these things sort of run into each other at unexpected moments. And now we should be able to get a whole bunch more of the bugs for our collection. And where are they hiding? Somewhere in the background, probably. There's a big old stag-looking beetle over here on the side. We're also supposed to collect these little fringe elements that look like they come from this flower. I think they're, yeah, these little chunks look like spaghetti noodles intertwined. It's really quite amazing, all the different strange elements and bits of nature that, you know, texturally, they're so artistic sometimes. They're just really unexpected, and they look very alien as well. And I always enjoy sort of appreciating, you know, some of these moments that we sometimes forget are part of the lives that we let go unseen for so much of our time. And I'm adding and adding to my collection. Oh, there's more of these seed pods strewn about, and another bug there. They're good at hiding, I have to say. Can I, like, eat through this to get the noodles out? Oh, I can indeed. So I guess that's how I'm supposed to do that. Which means that I've probably passed up a few of those in the previous area, so I'll probably want to head back down there. And look at the bright, vivid colors as well. We've got these oranges up against these sort of cobalt blue, navy shades. All of those have textures throughout, and then there's the particles on top. I just can't stop appreciating how cool the art in this is. Anything else that I'm missing here? I feel like I've gotten most of it. Although I think that is part of the charm, right? When you miss stuff, you don't necessarily know right away. Is that bug sticking its tongue out at me? Kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Alright, why don't we head back down if that's a possibility and see if we can possibly get some more of those pods through. Oh, I was supposed to take the other side there. Oh, and I noticed also there's other noodles I can grab. I'm just calling them noodles now. I mean, they're not actually that. So I had to reveal that objective before they were actually a thing that I could actually touch. An important element to understand. Oh, there's another one of these little flower pods down at the bottom. And then we'll head back up and around. So, I guess this is a pitcher plant. It's very similar to one anyway. And I should be able to eat through this edge, and then we'll get our last set of noodles here. Can we make that happen? There we go. I had to click on it. I was actually just dragging into it. Yeah, some of the confusion, I think, comes from just, you know, how the user interface works. And there are times when I think it might be a little bit more intuitive, or might need to be a little bit more intuitive. But granted, once you have somebody explain it to you, I think it probably won't be an issue ever again. So, you know, maybe a couple of quick pop-up boxes could do that. I mean, yeah, they do show right at the beginning, though, that you can actually just go and click and drag things. So that is something to keep in mind. So now we've got this big old beetle, and as well as the plant on the top that we need to touch. So let's head back upstairs if we can. And we'll try the beetle first, I suppose. And what does that reveal? Is another plant that we can climb up? Maybe we can go further up into the higher strata of this jungly environment? No? Anything happening? I mean, you must have moved to reveal something. Maybe there's an element that I can't interact with just yet. But it does not look like I can do much with any of this stuff. Alright, what about the other one? Oh, do we get to go inside? We do. So there's actually another puzzle element here. We now have to crisscross, looks like roots or some sort of plant veins to connect them to the roots at the bottom with matching colors. This looks like it's going to take a few moments, so I'm probably not going to hang out for this one. Anyway, that's been Morphopolis. I think a very cool game, definitely worth a look. I will link all of the important, relevant links in the description. If you want to go ahead and check out this game yourself, go do it. I recommend it. In addition to the links for the game, there's also going to be my description. Will have all of my various links, my social media stuff like my Twitter, my Facebook, my website, and my Twitch, of course. If you want to check out the website, indie-impressions.com, I've got almost 600 other episodes that I've done in this series. Feel free to go check through. They're all sorted and categorized, so if you're looking for a particular type of game or a particular type of platform or payment style, that would be the place to go for that. But with that, I will bid you adieu for the day. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Please do leave me any support or, you know, comments. Let me know what you think about the game in the comments below, of course. And if you would like to come back again tomorrow, new episodes are every single day without exception, so I hope to catch you back for one of those. So I'll catch you later. Have a great night.